Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you're having a good day. We are starting off in a watery surroundings because today we're going to go fishing. And down here in our storage room we should have a couple of string left over from killing a few spiders. We're going to craft that into a fishing rod using 3 sticks and 2 string, like so. I'm going to make sure I have a bed on me because we will probably be spending a couple of nights away from home, and we're going to head back to the lake. So every time I have come past this lake, I've thought, you know what, this looks like a fishing lake, and we are going to do some fishing today. You will even see some fish lurking below the surface, although that's not entirely how Minecraft's fishing works. Because you can leap into the water, swim towards the fish, and get ready to attack it with your sword, doing so will get you 1 raw fish, but it might also draw some unwanted attention. The drowned are a variant of zombies that can occur in rivers and oceans, and they will typically be found around ocean ruins, but occasionally they'll just spawn under the surface. They are only aggressive to you whilst you're underwater or at night, so you don't need to worry too much about them on the surface during the day. Another way you can get hold of fish is to jump back in, grab one of them with your bucket like so, and you'll get a bucket of salmon, which actually captures the fish live, and you can place it somewhere else. In this case, we're going to release this salmon back into the wild, but you will also get the tactical fishing advancement for collecting your first fish in a bucket. If you want to make an aquarium at home and gather a bunch of different fish to put in there, you can do that, thanks to the fact that you can gather fish up in a bucket. But what we're going to focus on today is the mechanics of the fishing rod. We're going to tap right-click to cast our line out here, and we're going to stare at the bobber and wait. You'll notice lots of watery particles splashing on the surface around the bobber, and sooner or later a trail of particles will start to make its way inward towards where the bobber is sat on the surface. Once that happens, we wait for the bobber to dip under the surface, we right-click as soon as it dips, and we end up catching our first fish. We get the advancement fishy business, and it looks like we pulled up a cod. That takes 1 durability from our fishing rod. We're going to cast the line out and do that again. Another fish will swim up, we can right-click, and we get another cod. But it's not just cod and salmon that we're going to get hold of by doing this. There are a variety of other things you can acquire by fishing. Each item you reel in, whether it's a fish or something else, will always gain you a little bit of experience as well. So while we're on the grind looking for ways to gain experience so that we can do some more enchanting, this seems like the perfect opportunity to introduce fishing to you. And a nice open body of water like this is perfect for fishing. Look at that, we ended up getting ourselves a new type of fish. That is a pufferfish. And just like in the real world, pufferfish are naturally poisonous to players in Minecraft. I don't recommend eating those, at least not right now. But they are a vital ingredient in a potion that will allow you to breathe underwater. So once we start brewing potions later in the game, we'll be sure to keep hold of this pufferfish. But there are essentially 3 different categories of items that you can acquire while fishing. There is, of course, fish. We get salmon, we get pufferfish, we get cod, very occasionally we will get tropical fish. The next category is treasure, which is what this nautilus shell I just fished up belongs to. There is quite a long list of treasure items that we can fish up, everything from nautilus shells and name tags that allow you to name tag a creature so its name will display above its head, to enchanted items like enchanted books, bows, and even other fishing rods. The third category is junk, and there's a lot of that too. It's everything from sticks and rotten flesh to old boots and lily pads and stuff like that. And I've just managed to fish up a name tag. That's very exciting. That's the first name tag we've acquired so far. Those can also be found as loot in dungeon spawners, like the skeleton spawner that we found. You can also trade them from villagers once you start trading with them. But aside from those 3 categories of loot, fishing has a few other mechanics that I think are worth explaining. First of all, you can fish basically anywhere, as long as there is water, and as long as you can throw your bobber in, and it bobs up and down on the surface of the water. Even though we're fishing in a 1x1 square that we have created ourselves, sooner or later we will end up catching a fish here. There we go, just pulled a cod out of a 1x1 hole. That was kind of impressive, actually. But the catch, if you'll pardon the pun, is that you cannot fish up treasure in a small area. These mechanics were really introduced to prevent players from creating contraptions that allow them to catch fish automatically, allowing them to effectively farm the treasure items whilst they were away from their computer. So I've dug a 5x5 pit here, 2 blocks deep, and we're going to fill that with water to explain how this works. Creating an infinite water source, I'm going to fill that all the way to the corners. There you go, that's 1 layer completely full. We're going to do that on the next layer along as well. And now with our fishing bobber, we're going to aim for the central block of this 5x5 area. And this is the minimum amount of water in which you can fish and receive items from all 3 different categories of loot. There we go, we just got some junk, that's a water bottle. Not only that, but this 5x5 area has to have empty space for at least 1 block above it, and it has to be free of obstructions in the water, so you can't have waterlogged blocks and stuff like that in there. And if you fish in a smaller area than this, or you fish too close to the shoreline, you will still get items from the fish and junk categories, but not from the treasure category. Which is why, if you're doing any sort of fishing, it's usually a good idea to go and fish in open water, where all of this naturally occurs, and you don't need to worry too much about the restrictions. Okay, I'm just trying to enjoy my fishing trip. These guys just spawned out of nowhere whilst I was trying to fish. Well, this seems like a fun opportunity to hook ourselves a pillager, and if I end up yanking the fishing rod after it's embedded in a mob, you can actually pull that mob a little bit closer towards you. Although in the case of these pillager captains, that might not be the best idea. Anyway, we can do the same thing with this cow. It's a mechanic that doesn't work all that well when you're standing on the ground, but if you're up here in a tree, I can actually get a little bit of height pulling that sheep into the air. Unfortunately though, if you take a look at the durability on my fishing rod now, we can see that that's used up quite a lot, and hooking anything that isn't a fish in the water can actually result in you losing a lot of durability. The same goes for if your hook lands on dry land. It will actually consume a lot of durability just to reel it back in. The other things you'll want to be aware of is how you can improve your chances of catching a fish, how you can make the process faster, because right now, like real life fishing, it's all about patience. And if you go fishing underground, if you find an underground lake to fish in, or if you create an artificial lake to go fishing in underground, unfortunately the fishing rates are going to be even lower than they are on the surface. Fishing without the open sky above your fishing bobber makes the catch rate a lot slower than it is on the surface, so it's a lot better of an idea to go fishing out here in the open. The good news is there's also a natural way of speeding up your catch rate when you're out here fishing, and that's if it starts raining. I believe that fishing while it's raining increases the catch rate by about 20%, so your fish are going to bite a little faster and you'll be able to gather a few more items that way. Sooner or later though, your fishing rod is going to break, and this seems like a good time to examine what we've got from the process of fishing with that fishing rod. We've got 14 cod, 8 salmon, 7 pufferfish, 2 nautilus shells, a bottle of water, and a name tag. That's not too bad for our first fishing session, especially considering one of the other things we fished up was a pillager patrol. But once we're back at home, we're going to gather some experience by emptying our furnaces. We're going to craft ourselves another fishing rod, and we're going to see what happens if we put this fishing rod in the enchanting table. And right now, it looks like a level 30 enchantment will get us Unbreaking 3, which will at least allow our fishing rod to last 4 times as long. I might breed up and kill a few more cows to see if we can get over the line, and we'll also see if we get any other bonus enchantments along with that Unbreaking 3. There we go, bit of extra steak in the smoker, 30 levels on our hotbar. Let's see if we get something other than Unbreaking 3 from this enchantment. We got Unbreaking 3 and Lure 2. That is not too bad, actually. That will be quite nice. I'll drop off the fish to be cooked in these furnaces as well. We're going to leave the pufferfish and the other materials down here. Now, the lure enchantment on this rod is going to let us catch fish even faster. Basically, every level of lure takes 5 seconds off the time it takes for a fish to appear. So by the time you have Lure 3, fish are appearing almost instantly. And at that point, fishing in the rain becomes an incredibly fast way of gathering fish and also treasure items. Speaking of treasure, one of the other enchantments we could have got is one called Luck of the Sea, which simply increases your chance to gather a treasure item. And that even gives you the opportunity to fish up an enchanted fishing rod that might have enchantments you can combine with the one you're already using. There is one other enchantment that we can acquire on a fishing rod, but I'll save that until we get it. For now, our rod has only used 3 durability, and we have fished up 14 items, 2 of which have been junk, but most of which have been fish. So my plan for this afternoon is to fish for 2 hours. I'm going to set a timer, I'm going to go out in my chest boat, and I'm going to put everything I catch into that chest boat. I'm hoping that even if we don't fish up another enchanted fishing rod, this rod will last long enough that I'll have replenished my 30 levels and I'll be able to enchant another fishing rod in the enchanting table. And we'll return to this video at the end of that 2-hour fishing session and I'll be able to show you everything we've caught. Hey folks, welcome back. So now my 2-hour fishing session is up and I can take a look at everything we gathered. Now we went through 2 fishing rods during this session and the second one I enchanted actually got some better enchantments than the first. Along with Lure 2, we also got Luck of the Sea 2, and that ended up filling 2 barrels before it broke, and that was basically the end of our time. So I'm going to unpack everything that we got from both of these, because the results have been pretty good. We have over 2 stacks worth of edible fish, pretty much, in the first barrel. We have 4 saddles, which can be used to saddle up a horse, among other things. And a lot of the stuff like the rotten flesh, the bones, the bowls, the leather, the lily pads, that kind of stuff, we can overlook most of this. A little bit of extra string so you can build another fishing rod is not too bad, and these leather boots, of course, we can combine in our 2x2 crafting interface so that we can get a fully repaired set of leather boots if we want to. I'm mostly going to use that to save space. The tripwire hook is meant to be like another fishing bobber that you've just fished up that's broken off of somebody else's line or something, so we're going to ignore that as well, but the other loot here is really worth exploring. We have 2 enchanted books, the first of which has knockback 2 and power 4. Power 4 seems like an excellent upgrade to this bow. The second one has Bane of Arthropods, a specialized enchantment that's specifically for dealing with bugs, spiders, bees, silverfish, that kind of stuff. You'll also notice that there are 2 fishing rods in here, and one of those is already enchanted, and this is what I wanted to bring up, because this fishing rod has Mending and Luck of the Sea 3, so that would have combined perfectly with the fishing rod I was already using to give us an almost perfect fishing rod. And that lets me talk about the Mending enchantment for a little bit. Even though this rod doesn't have Unbreaking and has 10 durability left, I'm going to cast my line out here and wait for a fish to bite. It's probably going to take a moment just because this rod doesn't have lure, so the fish is going to bite at the usual rate. But eventually we're going to get a catch, and you may notice, if you're observant, that the durability bar on our hotbar there for this fishing rod didn't go down, it went up. In fact, this now has 15 durability, where before it had 10. Mending is an enchantment that allows you to repair tools or armor with experience that you gather. So instead of going to your hotbar down here and collecting that in the form of levels, it repairs the durability of any items you're wearing or using at the time which have the Mending enchantment. So at the time, I really wanted to combine this fishing rod and the one I was using because their enchantments were very compatible. You can't do that in a 2x2 crafting interface though, because you can combine them to repair the durability, but the fishing rod will lose all of its enchantments. The same goes for any other tool. So in tomorrow's episode, we're going to look at ways to combine tools that will preserve the enchantments and get a combination of the enchantments each tool has. But aside from that, a couple of Nautilus shells and some name tags, that is what we got from our first fishing rod with Lure 2. Now we move on to the Luck of the Sea fishing rod, and you can see that things are a little different here. We still have a little bit of junk in here. We still got some lily pads, tripwire hooks, and leather. I also had to open up a second barrel here because there was going to be a little bit more stuff. So water bottles and sticks and stuff like that appear in this one as well. We're just going to shove all of those in the other barrel for now, since we've already taken a look at the contents of that one. And now we can just look at the fish and the treasure that we got from this one. So we got a bunch of edible fish, pufferfish, and some tropical fish. We then got a whole bunch of enchanted bows, including a bow which has Mending. So any experience we collect with this would repair the bow until it was at maximum durability again. This one had power 3, but I got several others that had power 4, so we could even max this out to power 5 if we combined a bunch of those. We also got this one. This bow has Curse of Vanishing, which is a kind of negative enchantment. Curses aren't something you can get from the enchantment table. Well, neither is Mending, actually. Mending is a treasure enchantment that you can only find by fishing, trading with villagers, or finding a book in a dungeon loot chest. What Curse of Vanishing does is, if you die when you're holding this item, when it's in your inventory somewhere, instead of dropping on the ground like your usual items do, it will just be deleted. So that's something we don't want to combine with any of these other bows, and if one of these other bows had it, I wouldn't consider using it because I wouldn't be able to recover it once I died somewhere. Then we come to these 3 fishing rods. This one here has Curse of Vanishing along with Luck of the Sea, so once again we're going to ignore that one. This one here has Luck of the Sea 2, Mending, and Unbreaking, so that's also a pretty good one. And this one here is effectively identical to the first rod we were using, which I did actually save. It's in a chest back in my house, so we can combine it with this one. And finally we move on to the enchanted books, because we know what all of this stuff is for now. The Nautilus shells aren't going to be useful until later, and the name tags are quite nice to have. We have loads of saddles at this point, so we can get all of the horses we want, but these enchanted books are of particular significance. We have a Sharpness 3, Fortune 2 book, so we could either use that to improve the attack damage a sword does, or we can apply that Fortune 2 to our pickaxe and finally get a Fortune pickaxe. Next up we have Sharpness 3, which could combine with the Sharpness 3 on this book to give us Sharpness 4 on a sword if we didn't want to use the Fortune. And finally we have Piercing 4, which is an enchantment exclusive to crossbows that allows your arrows to travel through something that you shoot and hit something behind them. But overall, as you can see, the amount of treasure we got from this one compared to this one, pretty significant actually. The first fishing rod without Luck of the Sea gave us 2 Nautilus shells, 2 enchanted books, and 1 additional fishing rod. This one gave us a bunch of enchanted bows, 3 extra fishing rods, and 3 enchanted books, along with 7 Nautilus shells. So we're going to take all of these enchanted books, bows, and fishing rods back home. We're going to come back for all of the fish and everything. And in tomorrow's episode, we'll take a look at how to combine some of these enchantments and enchanted tools, repair some of the equipment that we've already got, and even disenchant items that have enchantments we don't want right now. But I thought we could finish off this video with a build. And while we only started the video here and we've been fishing in the ocean most of the time, I thought this lake seemed like the perfect opportunity to build a little fishing house out on the water. So I'm going to gather some resources, stick around for the next bit of the video, and we'll build a fishing house here together. Hey folks, welcome back. So we're going to build our little fishing house here, and this time around our build chest is going to be the chest boat and this barrel. We've also got a furnace here that we're going to make some charcoal so we can start smelting some clay balls into bricks so we can make flower pots and a couple of other decorations. As with the starter house build, I am going to leave a download link for this house in a creative flat world, so you can download that from the video description, and I'll put some materials on the screen for what you will need to build this house. Now, I haven't been super precise about my own resource collection here because I just decided I was going to harvest as much wood as I felt like, and I'm pretty sure this is enough to cover the house build. First of all, the house is going to be on stilts, and I want to make sure that each of these looks like it's embedded in the ground, so we're going to pillar up with some spruce wood 3 blocks apart. I'm actually going to start breaking these oak planks down into slabs now and build this walkway as we go. We're going to have some oak planks attached to the land here like a walkway. We're going to come out 1 more block here, and then we're going to widen out the platform at this point with a couple of extra stilts. We'll have those 5 blocks apart. We're also going to alternate between slabs and double slabs around the outside of the building to give this whole thing a bit more shape. As the build expands, it'll create this nice wavy pattern, and it'll help everything feel more solid. 3 blocks out from these pillars, we're going to dive into the water and start placing another set of pillars. And that's part of the reason I couldn't be too precise about the material requirements, so I haven't included the blocks that are below the water. You might be building this in a more shallow lake. This thing goes pretty deep. But at all times, the spruce logs we're using as stilts are going to come up 1 block above this oak plank border. We're going to make our boardwalk here into kind of an L shape. So we're going to drop down 3 blocks aside from this log here, and we're going to put another stilt in the water, and that's where this row of slabs is going to extend out as well. This time around, we're going to leave a 7 block gap between our stilts, and we're going to mirror that over here on the opposite side. Then we're going to leave another 3 block gap, put 1 more stilt here, and that one took half a stack of logs from the bottom of the lake to the surface, so this is going to require a lot of wood. But we're going to count 5 blocks between that and the next stilt which we're going to build here. That should be in line with these 2 from the front of the house, so we're going to dip down and place that. 1 block up from the water, we're going to place a row of 3 logs like so, and then we're going to add another stilt right here. That one's only going to come up to 1 block above this brace we just built. This time we'll leave a 2 block gap and we'll build another stilt next to that one. Then we'll connect up each of these 1 block above the water, and we'll build 1 final pillar here on the corner. Okay, that should be the footprint of our house laid out, and now we can stop diving into the water to place these blocks. We're going to use more of these oak slabs to fill in a path up to where the door is going to be, and we can probably alternate in some spruce slabs here just to make it look like the path has been a little bit worn down. Nice to add a bit of texture and color in here. Maybe the boards are still wet from the fisherman's latest catch or something. The slabs are going to continue beyond these 2 spruce logs, and we're actually going to start the frame of the doorway right here behind those. And just inside of that, we're going to build the walls of this doorway out of birch logs, but we're not going to keep them as this birch log texture. We're actually going to take out our axe and strip them. I think this jungle door looks really good as a fisherman's cottage door. It's got that kind of rustic look with a round window in it. We'll put an inverted birch stair there for a nice, pleasant doorway arch, and then we're going to build a canopy above this. 2 mossy stone brick walls are going to go either side between these 2 stilts. We're going to put 2 sets of dark oak fences together like that, connected with a spruce fence gate. And from there, we're actually going to make this little porch roof out of moss, coming out 2 blocks from the house in an archway like so, with a block back there in the middle. Next, we'll need a bunch of spruce stairs, some spruce slabs, and even some trapdoors, so that we can turn those into an archway that's going to frame out the moss roof. And attached to these stairs on either side, we're going to place a couple of spruce trapdoors against each other and have them dangling down at the sides. At this point, I'm just going to go around the outside and fill in the rest of the these oak slabs. Bearing in mind that this section here is actually framing out a staircase, so we're going to leave that for now. But around each of the taller stilts, we're going to place this framework of slabs, and then we're probably just going to fill in the rest of the floor space with these. But remember, around the outside, we're doing that alternating pattern of a slab and a double slab every other block. Now with some more stripped birch, we want to continue this wall along until we reach that pillar, but we're going to add another structural pillar right here, which isn't going to have anything dangling below the deck here, but it's going to come up and form part of the wall. We're actually going to take some of the moss and use that to create a little planter box right outside of here, and we might as well have a window so we can look out of that and see it. We'll put stairs there and stairs there with an oak fence in the middle. Surrounding this with spruce trapdoors is going to make it feel nice and contained, and we'll put a couple of small flowers in here just for a pop of color. We're going to put 2 more structural pillars behind each of these 2 stilts right here, and then we're going to build the back wall of this house right here with a little bit of depth between the pillars and this wall. It's going to feel quite small on the interior, but we're going to do something about that in a second. Counting 5 blocks up from the bottom of this pillar, on the 6th block we're going to place a frame right here connecting these 2. We're also going to connect this frame to the pillars behind it on either side. On this section that juts out, we're going to build 2 4-block pillars of spruce wood on either side on the inside of here, and we're going to build another stripped birch wall here, this time with a window at ground level. We're going to border that part of the house with some spruce trapdoors, just to add a little texture to the walls here, otherwise they get kind of plain and flat. Then we'll continue the walls along the inside here, leaving room for another little planter. I might put some sweet berry bushes on here, but we need to go and find those in a taiga biome. And around this side, we're going to have a doorway using a jungle door once again. We'll build these walls up to be 4 blocks high, and then we're going to lay an angled moss roof down on top of this. That's going to stick over the edge of the slabs here by 1 block, coming across 3, up 1, across 3, up 1, and across 1 more to meet this wall of the house. We'll build up this same pattern, but we can ignore the blocks in the center because they're not going to be visible from the outside. We'll build a little canopy of spruce stairs and slabs over the back door here, and then we'll add in a slab there, remove that moss block so we can add a double slab and another slab there, just to connect the roof here to that wall. Moving on up and bringing some more spruce wood with us, we're going to extend these pillars to the height of the pillars we already built at the back. Then I'm actually going to build the roof, so it's easier to see where we're going to frame out the windows and the rest of the elements of the house. So we're going to pillar up with 2 moss blocks here. We're actually going to have 2 moss blocks alongside the pillar as well, so we kind of get this nice staircase formation, and we'll come in 1 and up 1, in 1 and up 1, in 1 and up 1, and this is where our central roof ridge will be. So we'll drop down and do the same thing on this pillar. We'll come in 1 and up 1, in 1 and up 1, in 1 and up 1. There we go. That's the shape of our roof. I like the moss bamboo combination so much that we're actually going to line the next section of the roof with that. And we're going to add 1 more moss block to the outside so you don't see the bamboo end texture. And then we're going to continue this roof pattern all the way to the other side of the house. Once we reach these pillars, we're going to build exactly the same roof ridge, add in the same details with our blocks of bamboo, and 1 more moss block around the outside. Then we're simply going to connect the front of the house to the back of the house using moss. But once again, we can skip adding the lower blocks of these because you won't be able to see them once we built the entire roof. While we're up here, 1 block behind this bamboo, I'm going to add a ridge of spruce planks with a slab in the middle just to soften the curve a little bit. And then dangling from each of these, we're going to add another set of spruce trapdoors. Well, a pirate has captured my boat. I thought I could ignore the pillager patrol, but apparently they wanted to make a nuisance of themselves. So now our roof should be overhanging this entire thing, and this is a good time to pop some lighting in here before it gets too dark. Just so we have easy access to the upper floor, I'm going to put a ladder in here now, and this will probably be where the ladder goes in the finished build. 4 blocks up on this pillar, we're going to add another stair right here, and that's going to support another spruce pillar just to widen the front of the house and give it a little depth, because the front wall of the house is actually going to be built out 1 more block. And we're going to strip all of these logs once again. But once we built this wall, we're actually going to cut a 3x3 area out of the front of it so we can build a big circular window. We're going to put birch stairs here in the corners, and we're actually going to put birch trapdoors on each of the remaining faces. We're going to help round off this window shape by adding some spruce stairs on the corners there, and we're going to create an archway over this window using a combination of planks, slabs, and stairs. These logs here dangle down kind of awkwardly, so we're going to replace those with some spruce stairs, and in front of those, to look like they're supporting frames, we can put a couple of dark oak fence gates. I also think the canopy of this porch roof needs to rotate slightly, so we're going to add in, we're going to rotate these stairs so that they become corner stairs and attach to that fence gate a little easier. The rest of the walls in here are nice and simple. This one is just going to be flat stripped birch, although where this wall meets the line of the roof, we are going to have to make sure we don't skimp out on the moss blocks. We'll bring this front wall up by 1 to hide those spruce details. We'll do the same on this back wall here. Where the smaller roof is, we're going to create a wall of stripped logs with a window in the center, and we'll do the same on the adjoining wall as well. I'm also going to add a ridge of spruce slabs and double slabs coming down from the side of this roof. Can dangle some more trapdoors off the side of this one, since that's part of the motif of this build. And upstairs here, we're going to create a flat floor of spruce slabs. Then we can fill in this wall with some stripped birch. Then on this end, we're going to make an identical copy of the circular window on that side of the house. We'll step this floor down into a ceiling for the rest of the room, making sure we leave a gap here for the ladder, of course. Then we'll cover up the moss in this room by blending that into the spruce planks of the floor above. Then we'll fill this in with more stripped birch logs, and to even out the fact that the room has one wall slightly further in, we're going to lay some bookshelves and other detailed blocks over here on this side. For now though, we're going to cover up this window with trapdoors, just leaving one gap open in the center. Once again, that's going to help to emphasize the roundness of these windows from the outside. To help the roof feel a bit more supported, we're going to add in these horizontal beams. We'll have one across the center as well, and we'll dangle a lantern from that one to help the lighting feel more natural. This now looks really nice from the outside, although it's missing something here. This window felt like it needed an archway made of stripped spruce logs and planks. And now that we're adding some finishing touches, here is something I've been really excited to introduce to this series. We're going to pre-strip a bunch of logs and break them so that we have them back in our inventory. Then we're going to craft a whole bunch of chains, and the hanging sign recipe should now appear in our recipe book. That's 2 chains and 6 stripped logs will get you 6 hanging signs. Hanging signs are a new block that was added in Minecraft 1.20, and they function pretty similar to signs, except you have to hang them from the underside of something or from the side of something. And they have a few different orientations. If you attach them to a fence or a length of chain, then they'll have this sort of V-shape chain attached to either side of the sign. If they're just attached to the underside of a block, they don't have anything supporting them aside from the 2 straight chains. And if you hang them from the side of a block, a wooden post appears to hang the sign from underneath. We're going to use them for a couple of details in this build, the first of which is substituting them for fences connecting these 2 spruce logs. We're going to do that a few times around the front of the house here, making it look like there are handrails. Outside of the handrails, we can add a few details like a barrel here and there if we want to, but around the back of the house underneath here, we're going to use them to build up a cute little porch swing. We're going to have some chains dangling down from these blocks, making sure that they are full blocks so the chains look like they connect. Then we're going to build a little seat made of spruce slabs, and we'll put some trapdoors around the back to make it look like a backrest. Then we're going to crouch, look at the ends of these chains, and add a hanging sign to each one, hitting escape so we leave the edit message GUI, and there you go. It kind of looks like a couple of cushions plus the chains linking to the chair to add a little support. Maybe we can replace these top chains here with some fences like so, just so it looks like a little bit better attached to the roof there. I love this little detail. But we aren't done with hanging signs yet, because we're going to be using them as railings for this staircase down to the water. We'll put them along each of these logs like so. Then the staircase can step down from the house to the water. Once the slabs have reached the water here, we're going to add a row of waterlogged oak stairs along each side of this, and we're going to use the hanging signs as rails to line the outside of that as well. We're almost done here. I just have a couple of small details to add here at the back of the house, like a couple of framing elements built with spruce planks and slabs underneath this window here. And while we're at it, a bunch of spruce planks above the arch of the window as well. Then up here on the moss roof, we're going to do what we did with the other house and spam some bone meal around just to grow some grass and occasional azalea shrubs. We'll add some spruce trapdoors on the exposed ends of these logs around here, and then we'll return to the furnace, which has been cooking this clay into bricks the entire time we've been doing this. We're going to create 2 flower pots so that we can plant some more flowers in very specific places. We'll put one here, maybe we'll put one back here so it's right there by the porch swing. And naturally, being the house of a fisherman, a few barrels around the place aren't going to hurt either. I'm going to add a couple more trapdoors as another type of guardrail around the edge of the house right here. And we can add another couple of details around the front of the house here, making a couple of these pillars perhaps a block taller, adding a barrel in there, attaching trapdoors to the sides of them. But now for one final detail, we're going to add a couple of boats just resting on the back porch here. We're going to put a mangrove chest boat here, and we're going to put an acacia chest boat there, and those two are going to add a little bit of color. The main fishing boat is going to be a spruce boat that we will place down here, and that's going to really make it feel like this house is in use. There we go, a cozy fisherman's cottage on the shore of a lake where it is always raining, but that's good because that's fishing weather. Well folks, the fishing weather may be over for now, but I think we've done a fair bit of fishing already in this video, so that's where we're going to call it for today. Hope you enjoyed the build, and I hope you enjoyed this look at the mechanics of fishing in Minecraft. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. My name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care, bye for now.